What's going on? Welcome back to Fanatic Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Fisker. They just came out with their Q4 earnings, and did they ever F the pooch? Massively. So I want to go over some of the preliminary results and what the current data points are saying. So I'm going to go over all that, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So today Fisker went down 0.65%. After hours though, this is where it went down 35.75%. So things got very interesting. And so on a lot of their key metrics, they missed. And so I'm going to go over some of the highlights. Leading into their earnings per share was estimated to be roughly about negative 27 cents. Came in at negative $1.23. And some of that can be kind of justified because they recently did say that they're going to do a very massive reorganization, which is very costly typically. They did state that this quarter though, so can't really justify a miss on Q4 earnings somewhat, but regardless, definitely not good. Even looking at the revenue, so based on 7 analysts, there was a consensus that there was going to be a roughly about 310.8 million in revenue, and it came in at a very dismal 200.1 million. And so that is very bad. I'm sure a lot of diehard bulls and bag holders are going to say, well, you know what? It's not as bad as everyone is portraying it, especially considering on a quarter by quarter basis, there was a very big increase in revenue, tenfold in fact. And that is very true. But if you combine the miss and the kind of neglecting good future guidance, this is where the overwhelmingly bearishness comes in, and it just completely blows that percentage out of the water. So massive miss on the revenue, massive miss on earnings per share. As far as cash, it does show about 395.5 million as of December 31st, 2023, and that's cash and cash equivalents. So when it comes down to roughly about 400 million, looking at how much they're burning through, which is about 628, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that doesn't jive. So of course, that does mean dilution is going to be occurring this quarter as we speak, if they haven't already. So not only are they potentially on the chopping block with the New York Stock Exchange and potentially being delisted, but they're going to be diluting. So kind of counterproductive, if that makes sense. And of course, I did signal over the last several videos the fact that you do have to really worry somewhat about the whole delisting. And even though they do have 6 months to really rectify this, I did say over my last couple of videos that there isn't any short-term catalyst that could really push this higher. Of course, the technicals at the time started to look somewhat optimistic, but not enough to really rectify this deficiency. So as I said, they are going to do a reverse stock split with a very high ratio. My estimate is at least 100 to 1, if not higher than that. So definitely Fisker, there's a lot more pain in his foreseeable future, and especially as well, they did add this. So Fisker shares in free fall after hours in doubts that it can continue as a going concern. And that was actually a risk listed in their earnings. So things are just not good for Fisker. So overall, I feel like in reality, it went down 35% after hours. That is going to dramatically get worse going into tomorrow, because now you have it potentially being delisted, a upcoming reverse stock split, very little optimism for earnings. You're going to also be seeing dilution. So a lot of those things is just way too much crap for institutions. So let's look at their ownership right now. So based on the last 13 Fs that did come down the pipeline, about 101.01 million held by institutions, 5.18 million held by strategic entities, and 296.62 million by other, aka retail. So most of these institutions will be jumping ship tomorrow. They don't want to deal with the crap Fisker clearly is failing. They might re-enter at a later date, but this is just too much crap for them overall. And so I do anticipate shorts to really double down all over Fisker today, as well as institutions dumping their position. So it does really suck the fact that today PCE numbers were relatively good, and plus the fear and greed index is relatively high. So you are seeing the market naturally wanting to propel a lot of growth stocks higher, but Fisker is just completely messing up. And I think that's been kind of the writing on the wall for the last what was it, 3 or 4 months or something like that. So let me know your thoughts on that. As far as what shorts did today, they did return about 4.61 million shares. And right now, 26.61% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 106.1 million shares overall are being shorted. And cost to borrow average is 53.92%. Utilization is 94.94. And just looking through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate around 3.3 million shares overall are being shorted. So as you can kind of see, they didn't really do all that much after hours. So definitely tomorrow will be a very interesting day, to say the least. So let me know your thoughts. Are you a buyer, and potentially why? Is it just to simply average down? Do you really like Fisker? Was there something said on their earnings that maybe is making you optimistic and bullish? So what's your viewpoint? Give yourself a shout out in the comments if you did buy, for instance. Looking at options, $727,000 in calls being purchased versus $268,000 in puts. Sentiment wise, a little bit more evenly divided. So 48% of all the options being done today are bearish. Again, options is only during the trading day, does not encumber any after hours. So none of this options right here would have factored in the recent earnings as well. So tomorrow, once again, we'll kind of have to analyze that information as well. So maybe I'll do a video on Fisker tomorrow just to give you a good overview of that. But of the call options that were purchased today, there's a consensus for it to be above $1. And looking at puts, it's anticipated to be sub 50 cents. So for, I guess it's kind of lucky to those individuals that did sell or I guess buy puts at that 50-cent strike price. So give yourself a shout out if that is you, for instance. And looking right here though, with it closing so far after hours at 47 cents, it is between this S3 and this S2. So 41 cents is going to be the next strong support, and I do believe it touched around 43 cents after hours. So we do know that at least can touch this S3, and vice versa. It looks like it's settling somewhere closer to this S2. But no matter what, just take a mental image of a lot of these support and resistance points. But if it does break below this 41 cents, then it is going to be more so whole numbers. So new 52 weekend all-time low is most likely going to be anticipated going into tomorrow. So we'll just have to wait and see. But as far as the technicals go, looking at stochastic, you do see it at 80. So that is considered overbought. So that's also going to really escalate and work against the share price going into tomorrow. So the technicals will be selling off due to that. Even looking at number of retail investors have been getting out, and plus just looking here, so far it's been lucky enough to hold and stay in the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, but because of their earnings, it is going to break below that 50 and 100-day moving average. So it is going to be very, very close to very 52 weekend all-time lows. So again, not necessarily the best. So shorts are going to jump all over Fisker tomorrow, as the technicals are also going to aid in it going down. Most likely institutions are going to sell. And yeah, so this is going to be a very interesting play for tomorrow. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this promo. So simply sign up for an account with Moo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, so take advantage of that. With that said, appreciate all of you watching.